1, 2. We are ready to resume. It's 14:39. Please make sure that your cell phones are on silent. Thank you.
Before you start, Ms. Sello,
Yes, Chair.
there's an announcement that I must make. There is someone who disclosed the identity of a witness that testified anonymously. On the face of it, it appears that this was done deliberately. In terms of the Commissions Act and this Commission's regulations, it is a criminal offense to act in a manner, I'm paraphrasing, that prejudices the business of the Commission. Consequently, the Commission is going to institute criminal proceedings against that person. This is a matter that the Commission takes very seriously, and it simply must act in these circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, before we proceed with Advocate Johnson, report back, you will note in your files that there's an update. A further CJC has been added, and that is CJC 395, starting from page 3495. That is the Langlaagte docket. (3495). That's an addition that was file 9. You will note at the top of that, it's got Langlaagte and a CAS number of November 2024. Now, I'm yet to apply my mind to this particular docket, but I think we can touch on it in passing. The second issue was, I think Advocate Johnson had indicated that she will make a call either to Mr. Perumal or his office to obtain annexure FA1 that is referenced in one of the statements commissioned by Mr. Perumal. I think, I don't know if Advocate Bodlane is ready with that report back. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I confirm that the Langlaagte docket has been made available. We delayed making it available. We apologize. The request was made last week. We should have made it available during the course of the week. We did not. An apology is merited. And it has resulted in what Ms. Sillo is mentioning, that she has not applied her mind to it. That delay is definitely attributable to us. The statement, the attachment that is referred to Mr. Perumal's affidavit, we are told it is part of the Langlaagte docket. But because we have yet to apply our mind to it as well, I'm not in a position to point out as to where exactly is it. Nor am I able to say, well, there is a deficiency here and there, because I have not seen it at all. But I guess during the course of the afternoon, even if after this session, the two teams will put their heads together. If there is still anything outstanding, it will be brought to our attention, and we'll make means to see to it that it comes forth. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bodlane.
Thank you, Chair.
Before you continue, Ms. Sillo,
Yes, Commissioner.
there was a request, I think, last week, Thursday, that more effort be made to obtain the response to the minister's letter, the letter from the minister's office. What is the update on that request?
I must say, I don't know if Mr. Bodlana will be in a position to comment. I confirm that that is the case, and I think it flowed from questions by Commissioner Baloyi and yourself. I must state that in our communication to Advocate Johnson and listing the documents agreed to be provided, somehow that one fell through the cracks. So we didn't bring it to her attention in our communication. Perhaps I should address myself to both Advocate Johnson and Mr. Bodlane. I don't know if they recall. When we were considering an annexure from General Mkwanazi's annexures, we referred to it as MK16. The letter written by the minister's office purporting to be a quote-unquote Section 27 referral. You recall that that was followed by an engagement on whether you had responded, you, Advocate Johnson, had responded to that letter, and what the terms of the response were, and whether that document could be availed. You had undertaken to check in your computer and provide us with a copy. When we wrote the letter to you on Thursday last week, reminding you of the documents to be provided, that particular document was inadvertently excluded by us. Apologies for it. I don't know if you're in a position to shed light on where your search landed you. I would like to believe you remembered to conduct the search, it's just that we forgot to include the document in our list. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. We did conduct a search. I just want to preface it by saying sometimes I type the letter and send to the PA, or I type it, print it, sign it, give it to her. From my recollection, I would have typed the response. So I sit in the unfortunate position that my laptop, on which that would have been, was stolen at an airport in Windhoek in January of 2025. Commissioners, I lost everything. I had stuff from 2007, everything. And because it was typed and it would have been on the laptop itself, it could not be retrieved. So we did that exercise on the cloud, thinking that perhaps through a backup, it might have gone there. It is not there either. And my apologies, it is an unfortunate situation. It would have helped if I was able to shed light. And then through you, Chair, I did also undertake at lunch to try to speak to Mr. Perumal to find out about his ability and or when to come back. He indicated that he will engage with his medical practitioner and then he will give proper feedback. I did indicate they would have to give a detailed feedback about why he may or may not be able to attend and when he would be able to attend. I will follow up with him again tomorrow morning, giving him some time to do that. And then lastly, with regards to the FA1, I then understand, whilst we will all have to go through it still, in the new documents, Council, that you have attached for us, the 3497, which is the statement of Mr. Adams, attaches FA1. And when I just glanced at it, I'm sure we'll all have a detailed look. When you look from 3499, Commissioners, up until 3512, just from a reading of these documents, they purport to be crime intelligence documents. They purport to be internal documents. And I make the assumption, and colleagues will correct me once you've gone through it, but Chief Perumal said that that FA1 would have been in the Langlaagte. I do hope that assists.
So if I understand correctly, you're suggesting that from page 3499, that is the FA1.
FA1.
Subject, of course, to confirmation.
subject to confirmation.
Okay.
They all talk to the same subject matter council.
Yes.
So I think he may have called them FA1, and that's the bundle that he would have referred to. But of course, you're all going to still apply your minds.
Well, we will see, because just casting my eye on this particular docket from 3499, that speaks to procurement of forklifts.
Correct.
But you recall the FA1 we wanted was in relation to General Madondo's vetting. So there seems to be a different FA1. Each statement will have naturally its own annexure. So that request stands.
Noted.
You note. Thank you. Before we broke for lunch, we had dealt with the dockets and the A1 statement as provided by yourself being IDAC in this case. And then I suggested that as a commission, we have received other statements also commissioned on the 6th of January, but commissioned by investigator Rapesu. And then we listened to the two recordings where both would-be witnesses to this commission would testify that they have no knowledge of the A1 statement as commissioned by Chief Perumal. I understand that there are 4 statements in all. I think, commissioners, we need to note that the statement at 3485, these are the documents provided by IDAC. It's the one statement commissioned by investigator Rapesu. On my reading of the statements that we have received from, as a commission, that statement is a mirror, part mirror of the statement at 3491, except for the ending. The one at 3487, this concerns the issue of the theft of equipment from Major General Lushaba. At 3485, that one ends at 3486 with 2 other paragraphs. It's commissioned by Inspector Rapesu. And if you look at 3491, it's the same statement, but at its ending at 3492 is different in that it doesn't have those 2 paragraphs. But the content of the first page in each case is the same. I take it that is a matter that Investigator Rapesu would shed better light on. But as I understand it, it's 4 statements, actually. So then, I trust you, Advocate Johnson, you followed my attempt at reconciling these statements by Investigator Rapesu himself. There are 5 copies in the file, but as I understand it, there are actually 4 that were taken that day. There is this one that you have provided that mirrors another one to some extent, but not wholly. But that's a matter for Investigator Rapesu to clarify.
Correct.
Then let's turn to the documents that the commission provided. And that will be your CJC 394, starting at page 3487. And if you can keep your finger at 393 from page 3466, because that's the pack with what I'll call Chief Perumal's statements. The statement at 3487, CJC 393 starts at page 3466, and the actual statements commissioned by Mr. Perumal start at 3479. Now, the statement at 3479, which is the first in the PERC, commissioned by Chief Perumal, on my reading, appears to mirror
There's 5 as well. 3475,
please say that again.
3475.
3475.
You
Yes,
referred us to 79.
that's
The-
correct.
The first one is the one. on
3475. If we take, let's start with the first. You're quite correct, thanks, Commissioner, 3475. And I would like to invite you to accept that Investigator Rapesu and Advocate Ramsamy are correct. For the moment, let's accept that. And I'm not necessarily saying they are, but for purposes of our engagement, that the actual statements which Mr. Adams, supplementary statements that Mr. Adams deposed to on the 6th of January are what is contained as Annexure 394, CJC 394. Now, the first of those, of Mr. Perumal's, speaks to, if we look at paragraph 2, the issue of the questionable appointment of General Khumalo as the head of intelligence. That's at 3475. It doesn't appear that when the three of them took statements from Mr. Adams, that they had such a complaint. The closest I get to is the statement at 3489. I'm comparing Mr. Perumal's statements with Investigator Rapesu's statements. But Investigator Rapesu's statement at paragraph 3 just simply says high-ranking police officials, security clearances, and promotions were awarded as a result of alleged corrupt practices. It then suggests that it's got annexures FA1 to FA3, but we don't have those. But the point I seek to make is if the document at 3489 is to be accepted, then there was no reference, at least at the time, in the body of the statement to General Khumalo, and does not contain any allegation of wrongdoing by the Minister of Police, Mr. Bheki Cele, being involved in this questionable appointment, as suggested at paragraph 2 of Mr. Perumal's statement.
That is correct.
I also make this point. Remember, in your second day here, I had asked who made a complaint of fraud and corruption. So if you look at the Perumal Commission statement, paragraph 2 specifically mentions fraud and corruption. But if you go to 3489, it simply says alleged crimes, and it does not mention fraud and corruption.
Correct.
So, and perhaps if we go forward, we'd have to jump to 3479. That is now the second statement, but this time concerning General Madondo. And when I look at CJC 394, Investigator Rapesu does not seem to have obtained any clearance, any statement regarding General Madondo. It's still the general statement of 3489. That just speaks of high-ranking police officials' clearance, security clearances and promotions awarded as a result of alleged corrupt practices. But the statement by Mr. Perumal specifically now mentions General Madondo. And just to remind you, we know in our section 27, such detail is not to be found in section 27 affidavit. So it could only have come from supplementary statement. But then I suggested that let's depart from the premise that the supplementary statement is the one commissioned by investigator Rapesu. Begs the question then, assuming we are right, of course, where and how does General Madondo's name come into play, if not introduced by Mr. Perumal? And if so, on what basis? Would you have any sense of how that came to be?
No, none at all, Chair.
Then, if we move on then to the next statement, that will be at 3483. And that is the statement that we have worked with for the past couple of days. And this relates to the appointment of Brigadier Mukwele. And if you look at 3484, it's the one commissioned by Mr. Perumal. And it's the exact same A1 in our, in our docket. If we go to Annexure CJC 394, Investigator Rapesu. Commissioner? Oh, the entire 394. There doesn't seem to be a statement commissioned by Investigator Rapesu relating to the appointment of Brigadier Mukwele. So it would appear that all that was there as of January 6th regarding the appointment of Brigadier Mukwele is what's contained in the section 27 itself. And once again, on the face of it, it would appear that Mr. Perumal then went and solicited this extra statement in the absence of Investigator Rapesu and Advocate Ramsamy. And of course, you can answer to these things. You were not present when they were sourced.
Correct.
But we are headed to, of course, your responsibility as the head, and I'm going to invite your comment and hopefully have a discussion about the legality of what appears to be happening here. The last statement commissioned by Chief Perumal is at 3485. It's not by Chief Perumal. 3485, it's that duplicate statement commissioned by Investigator Rapesu, but this is concerning the General Lushaba matter. What we have, according to the versions of Investigator Rapesu and Advocate Ramsamy, is a new allegation that does not appear in the section 20. It's not foreshadowed at all in the section 27 as we have it. And the first one you find at page 3487. It's signed by Mr. Adams, commissioned by Mr. Rapesu. And at paragraph 2, he states that on or about early October 24, he received information anonymously surrounding alleged crimes emanating from the Division Crime Intelligence of the South African Police Service. At 3, he points out amongst the information, it was alleged that a forklift was procured by the Division Crime Intelligence without proper procurement processes being followed. Documentation in this regard is attached here too as Annexure FA1. You see that?
I see that.
And earlier, just after lunch, you pointed out that that Annexure FA1 is the Langlaagte docket,
Is in the Langlaagte
which
docket.
is now in the file, but is CJC 359.
Correct.
My concern is is Section 27 affidavit, as we have it, is absolutely silent on any purchases of a forklift. Where would that detail have come from in the supplementary, when the purpose of the supplementary was to address shortcomings in the original Section 27?
I venture a guess
Yes, ma'am.
that it, in all likelihood, related to the procurement of goods, as was alluded to under paragraph 2 of the Section 27. But that is the only place where you find an item dealing with procurement. And this talks about without procurement processes. So I'm not sure if that is what it relates to. I'm just saying that is the only paragraph in the Section 27, Chair, where I saw something of procurement.
Yes.
So that is where it might arise from, but beyond that, I can't take it any further than that.
Even just casting our eye on the docket, if you go to 3496, that docket was opened in Langlaagte on the 7th of November, 2024. And Mr. Adams's Section 27 affidavit is dated the 21st of November, 2024.
Correct.
So he was fully aware of the detail as contained in this Langlaagte docket, but omits to provide even slightest reference thereto or detail arising therefrom in his Section 27.
He does refer to the docket in his Section 27. He refers to Langlaagte,
Yes,
from what I recall. And sorry, Commissioners, I'm merely speculating that perhaps it is in that vein that he didn't expand because the expansion would have been found in the Langlaagte docket.
and if we go to the referral, that's
Sorry.
file 2.
Sorry,
Yes.
maybe before you leave this page, and this recurs in other pages in these dockets, why would it be written Silverton if it's a Langlaagte police station case with a
Well-
case number?
When the docket must have come from Cape Town, they would have had to give it a different CAS number because the docket is now in Gauteng. And what they do is they have cross-references. It would be a Silverton matter to be investigated in Gauteng, but it would still have as a cross-reference the Langlaagte. That's the only explanation I have. I do know that they do that. It's not an IDAC thing. It's the police tend to have those cross-references. So if you're investigating matters in one province, Commissioner Baloy, and they have to come over, you CAS them, but you must keep the original cross-reference. So when these matters are resolved, one is able to properly account for them on the CAS system to say Langlaagte stroke Silverton, this is how it was resolved, and they get closed off. Or else you'll sit with an open Langlaagte and perhaps a closed Silverton when they were one and the same.
Okay. So this Silverton here it's a Silverton in Cape Town, in Cape Town. It's not in
The
Pretoria.
Silverton that's in
It's not
Pretoria.
Pretoria.
It's Pretoria.
So why would it be there? I mean, you do have something that looks like Langlaagte at the bottom. It is this Silverton that is confusing me. If at the bottom you've got Langlaagte, then we do have the name of the station. My question is, why would you have a representation that this has anything to do with Silverton? If he did go to Langlaagte, to Lake, to reopen or to transfer, whatever language you choose, a case that he first opened in Cape Town, there's no, Silverton shouldn't be there. Because this has nothing to do with Silverton.
And that is why I indicate, Commissioner, but that's how I understand the system works.
No,
But
I
I'd rather get a
understand.
better explanation for you.
Yeah, I understand. Sorry, let me interrupt you. I do understand your explanation of how it works if a case is being moved from Cape Town. I was just asking about that Silverton. I accept you might not be able to explain it, but the way your explanation of the system doesn't explain this Silverton indication in this docket, and maybe it's for
An investigator
from
to,
for the investigator and Mr. Adams to explain why. All right.
that
Thank
is
you.
preferable.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have your MK16 close by. You'll recall that when Mr. Nkabinde from the minister's office addressed a letter to your office, he referenced 4 cases, 3 Orlando cases and Langlaagte. And we know that the 3 Orlando cases mirror the Cape Town cases. So Langlaagte is the standalone.
I see that.
You see that. So it can't be that this Langlaagte docket has anything to do with the open dockets in Cape Town. And it's quite correct what the point Commissioner Baloyi says, that then it must have been opened in Silverton, because it bears reference to Silverton on the face of the documents.
The only point of reference I have, Chair, is the section 27, where he does talk of the Langlaagte. He says, I opened 3 cases in Orlando and the Langlaagte matter.
He will help you. It's
Awesome.
file 2, page 512.
Advocate Silo, are we talking about 3495?
Yes,
But I see that 87/11/2024 in the minister's letter as the first case there.
and that's the point I make, that in the minister's letter, there are 4 dockets.
Yes.
1 Langlaagte and 3 Orlando.
Yeah.
If we recall the table that's about to be flighted, the duplicates are Orlando and Cape Town.
Yeah.
So Langlaagte has always been like a standalone
Yes.
docket. That's the point I sought to make.
It is referenced, Commissioners, in paragraph 8 of the section 27.
Yes.
By Adams, that he does also refer to, I opened 3 cases based on I came to Gauteng, went to Orlando. I opened 3 cases based on the 3 cases I opened in Cape Town. And I also opened a separate case at Langlaagte Police Station. But that's the only reference I also
Yes.
have, as well as the minister's letter.
But that Langlaagte case, and its detail, is not part of the section 27.
Not in-
The paragraph 8 is just informing you what he did.
No.
Because we know the Langlaagte case is about the acquisition of a forklift.
Correct.
Okay. Now, while we're there, before we go to the next issue, just casting my eye on
processes of investigation, and we cannot have parallel processes of investigation. We're supposed to have one Section 27. If it is inadequate, as I've indicated, Mr. Adams ought to have been engaged, which I believe he was, on the 6th of January 2025. If he was engaged as he was by all three, then we're supposed to have the 4 that Rapeso took, together with the FA1, which is attached in the Silverton docket. So if they say there is an additional 27, then it talks to how did these other supplementaries come about, still with the same date, and when did that 27 come about?
Let me correct you, and to the extent that you may have understood me to suggest that, I'm not suggesting there was an additional Section 27. Their testimony, as they have indicated they will testify, is that the Section 27 affidavit we have been sitting with here and working on is not the Section 27 affidavit. The Section 27 affidavit, and we agree it has to be one, had references to the forklift patches and had direct reference to the PKTT, both of which are missing in our version. So I'm saying there appears to be 2 when there should be only 1, but it's not suggesting parallel processes. You can only have one process. These are members of IDAC, all of them,
Yes.
following the same Section 27. Now, where that potentially lends me is, are we confronted with a fraudulent Section 27? I'm thinking, and I pose that question, if not, how do we potentially explain these discrepancies?
Am I able to ask who took that 27?
I don't know. I promise you I wasn't there.
No, I'm saying in terms of what the witnesses might have provided, because this one that we have, commissioners, is the one that has come from that was done in Cape Town and then commissioned by a Ms. Solomons. I'm not sure who would have taken that one. It's important for me to have sight of it if council allows. But I have also only this one.
But who commissioned it surely is not a relevant issue. The concern would be if there are 2, regardless of who commissioned either one. That's my concern.
Yes,
The
I do.
potentiality that we may be actually dealing with 2, the second of which has not been disclosed to the commission.
Okay.
That's a concern.
Now, the point I might have clumsily been making was it would help to know if, much like these other supplementary statements, the same person who took them, other than the Rapeso and the team, is the one who took that Section 27, if there is in fact a 27.
But
And
Advocate
that would be
Johnson,
the chief.
do you understand the difficulty? If you look at the supplementary affidavit on 3493,
Yes, sir.
it is dated 6 December 2025. These 3 people were together in Cape Town on that date. And the simple point Advocate Sillo is making is that on that date, as they were taking this supplementary affidavit, there was only one Section 27 affidavit, and it is not the one that is in our files. It is the one that made reference to PKTT and forklifts and other things.
Okay, sorry, now I
The
understand.
one that we have in our files
Is
is
not the
not
real-
the one they were working on
Okay.
the 6th of January, 2025. Now, if
Now I
if
understand.
that is correct, then it means this Section
a-
27 we are looking at was produced at a much later date and then backdated to 21
21
November
November.
2024.
I understand, Commissioner.
Because if it existed on the 6th of December, then all 3 of them would have been looking at this one and not the one that they refer to in the clips.
Understood.
And that is
Now I
a serious problem because
Yes.
it affects you as well. It raises this question. the section 27 you looked at in November or December 2024, which one was it? Was it this one that we are looking at or another one which has not been provided to us?
And this is the one that comes to mind.
Are you sure that in this, you said to ad hoc that the first time you saw a section 27 affidavit was sometime in December? You said middle December, then you corrected yourself and said before 6 December. Which affidavit did you look at in early December or mid-December? Was it this one or was there another affidavit that you looked at that made reference to PKTT? Are you now no longer sure which one it is?
No, I saw one. I'm
We now focus on
Positive.
content, because an affidavit is an affidavit.
correct.
The one that you looked at in December, did it make a reference to PKTT and forklifts and other things?
Chair, I honestly,
Are you no longer sure which affidavit
I
you
cannot
looked at?
remember that I saw that, the forklift and the PKTT.
Say that again?
I cannot recall seeing forklift and PKTT.
But do you remember which affidavit you looked at in December 2024? Are you now no longer certain?
Now that you're putting it to me, I can't give you a definitive answer. I don't know which one I saw. This one is the most familiar. Let me put it that way. From having worked with the statement, this has always been the one that has been most familiar, and this is the date I recall.
Because it could be that even the one Mr. Rapezo is referring to also had the same date. So don't focus on the date. Let's talk about the content. What was in that affidavit? Did it make a reference to PKTT and forklifts and other things?
Apologies, Commissioner. I can't recall all that detail.
Thank you.
So I do apologize. I can't recall all the detail.
No, if you can only give, an honest answer. If that's the honest
I
answer.
cannot
that's-
recall.
Perhaps,
Can I
Commissioner.
just ask? Ms. Johnson, does it mean your answer now and you're not recalling, does it mean no one in your team ever said to you, but this is the wrong section 27 back then? And when you went to ad hoc and came back, and as you are before us, and as Mr. Parayachi was testifying, does it mean of your entire team, there isn't a single person that said, hang on, we actually had a different section 27, what happened to that?
No, Commissioner.
No one has ever said
No.
that. Thank you.
I do recall what Mr. Padiachi said about when he had access. But I have no recollection of anyone telling me that I'm looking at the wrong document.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. I recall, and I speak under correction, you did not have the Section 27 affidavit when you appeared before ad hoc. And I think members of parliament engaged you on the Section 27 affidavit. And if memory serves me well, you parted company on the basis that you'll be providing the ad hoc committee with a copy after you had concluded your testimony. Do I remember well?
I must just go back into the record. I do recall saying I will apply my mind on whether or not we can give them the Section 27. I must just go back. If I said we were going to give it to them, or did I say that
They asked you if it's a public document, and you said it's not a public document. And then they asked, can we have it? You said, I don't have it. I will revert.
okay. Thank you, Commissioner Bala. But I know that we did not make it available. From what I recall, I know that we didn't make it available, Commissioner,
Why not?
because it formed, sorry,
Sorry, it was central to the ad hoc inquiry. And why didn't you avail it?
because it formed part of our criminal investigations.
But you availed it to this commission. Still forms part of the very investigations. On what basis do you draw a distinction?
I understand. I see the work of this commission and its terms of reference somewhat different from the ad hoc committee. And here, the rules are somewhat different, and not disclosing is not an option, but you are able to disclose, and perhaps, as we have been allowed in some instances, commissioners, to indicate that the disclosure is also made on the basis of confidentiality for certain reasons. This commission allows us that, and it is on the basis of it having been part of a criminal investigation and not wanting to give it to them.
Okay, we will look through the transcript to remind ourselves where you landed. I hadn't marked it because my understanding was that you had undertaken to provide a copy to ad hoc, but you say you had only undertaken to apply your mind to whether or not you can make same available. I'll have to check on that. I don't have a direct
That's my
reference at the
recollection,
moment.
yes.
So once again, I invite us to accept as correct the facts as we understand them. And of course, subject to other facts coming to light to contradict what we know.
Mr. Lo, can I just
Yes.
ask a question, sorry? You've explained the process, how it works. You say there will be, as in this case, there would have been Ms. Ramsa May, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Rapesu as a team, because no one consults alone with a witness, your methods of working. So they would have been together and they would have produced a single statement. Now, if what they say is true, that the only statements that were taken in the presence of all three and the witness are those commissioned
By Rapesu.
by Rapesu, it would mean, what does it mean about the standing of the statements that were taken by Mr. Perumal outside of your way of doing things, but also without the others? What would be their standing?
And it also raises a bigger conundrum because they dated for the same date when he is supposed to have taken them with that team. So it raises its own legal and ethical challenges about why a separate set of statements needed to be taken. They went together for the purpose of taking the statements. And what did in fact happen is Advocate Ramsamy had made extensive notes out of the Section 27, and having read the inadequate, lack of A1s. So she had categorized the questions around groupings of matters to be looked at, aspects to be canvassed with Mr. Adams, so that when they went there, it was a structured approach. So the team should have followed that approach. And if either Mr. Rapesu or Chief Perumal felt that, wait, there's something else still to be dealt with on an aspect, it should have been dealt with all at the same time. If there was a need to, it should have been captured in one document and then commissioned, and then we move on to the next, and so on and so on.
Okay, let me put it this way to you. What I'm trying to get your comment on is, if the three of them together produced the supplementary statements, what has been labeled supplementary statements, the three of them, and then Mr. Perumal Chief Perumal behind their backs, because there's no better way of saying this. Behind their backs, he goes and he decides to write his own statement that he commissions without the other two knowing. And he gets Mr. Adams to depose. Let's assume for now that it is in fact Mr. Adams who deposes, who becomes a deponent. Because on these facts and the mess that has happened here, it seems to me it's not inconceivable that Mr. Adams could turn around and say, but I don't know anything about that, which you say Perumal signed, commissioned. If it turns out that Chief Perumal went and did his own thing, wherever and however, surely the official statement of IDAC would be that which was done by the three of them together and deposed to by Rapesu. Is that a fair?
It's a fair assessment.
It's a fair assessment and proposition to make, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now on that, if in fact, as we know it has happened in the Mukwele matter, if the docket that is before the court and that is disclosed to the accused, and that is the basis for the warrants that were obtained for instituting for the charges, it is in fact Perumal's questionable statements, not the ones that were properly taken. That would amount to. It seems to me that would have amounted to defeating the ends of justice, lying to the court, lying to you, misleading everyone that is involved with this, and failure to disclose the true contents of the docket. Am I correct in all of that? I'm
correct.
assuming Perumals are in fact a manufactured statement that is being used.
Correct.
That would be correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it
And that would undermine the prosecution itself, right? The entire prosecution, because it's based on A1 statements that are questionable, as in they've been made up by Chief Perumal, whether with or without Mr. Adams, but then not an official record of the IDAC.
correct.
Thank you.
And before we look at what you stated to Parliament regarding providing this affidavit, let's look at how matters were dealt with concerning the contents of the affidavit. I'll invite you to page 554 of file 3. That is your transcript before ad hoc. And if we can take it. Yes, Chair.
Including the file with the acts. Which files must I put away? I have
Put
too
away.
many now in front of
Put
me.
everything
6,
away.
a total of 6.
Out of 9. It's 9 files by now. Please put everything away except file 3, Chair.
Thank you.
Except file 3.
3.
We won't need file 2.
No. I'm scared to commit. No, chances are we won't. If anything, but we don't have to go to it, I'll flight it. It is that supplementary affidavit regarding PKTT. Remember, commissioners, we are having this engagement about where the 3 investigators would have gotten any idea about PKTT enough to justify them obtaining a supplementary affidavit. So now we are at file 3. That's a transcript before the ad hoc. It's for the record CJC 375. And in particular, I would like us to go to page 555. And that, what appears at the top of 555, perhaps 554 is the right place to start, midway, where it says Advocate Johnson. You suggest there that you will deal with the arrest of General Kumalo. And then you indicate from line 2, and I would just for purposes of completeness indicate that IDAC is not aware of these cases that were made, be they by Mr. Matala about theft, by Gatiso Molefe, the ballistic case, or any other case that has been made against any of the PKTT members. They are not allegations that IDAC is looking at. That was your testimony. But from the supplementary statement by the 3, that can be entirely correct, because that statement we just looked at page 3493, file 9, is specific about PKTT. So,
I see that, yes.
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 So
I wouldn't have seen the wouldn't have seen the supplementary.
I can accept that, but then it suggests that your investigators withheld from you some detail on some of these investigations. From the reading of your transcript at ad hoc, it would appear that you were not even aware that PKTT was being investigated or considered for investigations. I put it no higher than that.
Correct. And that is why when there were the utterances that IDAC was involved in PKTT's business, I was taken aback, because according to me, there's nothing for us to look at in PKTT, regardless of what allegations may have come to the fore.
And if those were the allegations that you are hearing of, now that we have seen the supplementary affidavit at 3493, those claims were not entirely baseless now, were they? That IDAC is, what did you say you had understood, is interfering in PKTT? They don't appear to have been entirely baseless.
Yes, when you look at 3493.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Then if we go forward, still staying with file 9 to 656. Page 656, same file, file 3.
Council, make sure you get us to read the documents that are 4 pages from top to bottom at this part of the afternoon, Chair. Sorry, 656.
It's the best part of the day, 656. And I pick it up from the top. This is an engagement you are having with Mr. Nomvalo. And you had just referenced the affidavit at 655, 22nd November 2024. Then you are asked, do you have it in your possession? You say, no, I don't. Do you not think it was going to be important for you? Then then he states, another problem which I have with your statement is that documents which are relevant have not been attached. He expresses his concern. Your response is no. Mr. Nomvalo asked, would you agree with me if I say to you the affidavit of Honorable Adams is dated the 6th of January, 2025? You point out that that would be a supplementary affidavit because follow-up engagements were had by the investigating team with Mr. Adams. And we know that 6th of January correlates with the date on which the investigating team obtained supplementary statements from Mr. Adams. Then Mr. Nomvalo asks you, requests at 656, Can you be able to furnish us with the original affidavit to which you state? Unfortunately, that is not a document that I can disclose. This document has not even been disclosed to the defense, and it is one of those documents where even the defense would have to apply for the document to be made available to them. The Section 27 referral cannot be made available, but other documents that Honorable Nomvalo or any other member should have been here. What I would ask is to kindly provide the chair with a list, and those documents that can be made available should be made available to this House in the course of next week as part of a bundle, which would then be referenced according to the affidavit and then be sent to the evidence leader for distribution. Mr. Nomvalo inquires, so is it a classified document? You say it's not a classified document, it's a document that seeks to initiate the intake of a matter. It is a document that, should it be disclosed, will first have to be disclosed to an accused. That document has not been made available to any of the accused. Mr. Nomvalo asks, which law are you relying on to make that proposition? You respond, I'm saying that in terms of process, we have not disclosed the Section 27 referral. It is a confidential document similar to how we have memos in the NPA and not just IDAC. There are certain documents that are not made available for public consideration. You have further engagement midway that page of 657. Mr. Nomvalo states, well, if that's the case, then I'm helpless. I'll put this proposition to you. The affidavit that I have been exposed to is not a supplementary affidavit. A supplementary affidavit is in an affidavit that makes notes of the content of the original affidavit and continues with the supplementary content that is contained in the supplementary affidavit. So the affidavit of the 6th of January 2025 is an original affidavit. It was signed by Mr. Adams on 6 January 2025. Now, Mr. Nomvalo seems to have had sight of what is a different Section 27 affidavit. He suggests it's an original affidavit signed 6 January 2025. And for the record, I haven't seen it. I'm just following what is here. In response, you do insist that on 22nd November, we had a referral affidavit. That refers the matter to IDAC and sets out in broad strokes the allegations. Then you have a discussion about supplementation, but it would appear that your position before ad hoc was that you cannot disclose that affidavit to them.
That was correct.
And you invoked privilege as a basis for refusing. Which takes me on to understand how this privilege works. You have a specific committee of parliament established to investigate allegations by General Mkhwanazi of the 6th of July, 2025. And your entire mandate is triggered by a Section 27 affidavit. When you go account to that committee, why is the trigger affidavit privileged for their purposes and can't be disclosed to them? Which law were you invoking for that claim?
So I worked, counsel, on the basis that this document forms part of a docket. It has yet to be disclosed to anyone, including the accused.
Sorry, I need to interject desperately because I want to make sure that it's not an error. You say Section 27 forms part of the docket. That's not how we got it. Colonel Padiache says it definitely does not form part of the docket. So does it form part of the docket or doesn't it?
So the Section 27 is the intake document. According to me, the Section 27 referrals are not disclosed unless they are requested by the accused. Now, when I went to Parliament, we had not disclosed this document at all to the accused. We have not disclosed Section 27's, the referrals to the defense because it's the basis on which we initiate our investigations. If if we follow the logic that we have been following in the past few days, one has to relook that position because they should be given the full ambit of the investigation and the prosecution. Out of practice, we have not given them that.
Well, it's
At all.
not just a question of practice. It is what you say. You have a position about it. For example, where Ms. Silo has read, you say to the ad hoc committee, it's a confidential document similar to how we have memos in the NPA and not just IDAC. So you're describing an internal,
As an internal
but
confidential
it's not
document.
internal. It's not an internal document. It's a document that comes from a complainant. And so to categorize it as an internal document, as if it's an internal document, is misleading. And it's a document that seems, if you're going to disclose a supplementary affidavit, then it doesn't make sense that the founding affidavit would not be disclosed, would be a matter that you ever considered. And when I say you, I mean all of you in IDAC have ever considered that to be confidential and internal, but that which it supplements can be disclosed, or you're obliged to disclose it with a docket. It just doesn't make sense that, especially the lawyers in the NPA and in IDAC would have thought that's okay. You nod. Do you agree with me? Does it mean you agree with me?
Sorry, I'm tired. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to move to a slightly different topic, and even the way Advocate Johnson looks at me, I had her comment that I'm tired.
Yeah, no, sorry,
I'm with you.
With my medication, I've been trying to hold out for as long as I can. I do not want to waste the time of the commission, so I do hold out as long as I can. I am just feeling a bit fatigued.
No, I was going to request, I do have some other topics to touch on with you. I see it's 4:10, and it's the normal end time for the commission, and to ask whether it might be an appropriate time